Falling mail volumes, plummeting profits, price hikes on stamps, and now the days of visiting the local post office to apply for your passport will soon be at an end. There is mounting pressure on our 207-year-old National Postal Service, and this week Australia Post took another blow with its passport contract with the Department of Foreign Affairs looking unlikely to be renewed. Here to discuss the future of Australia Post is Patrick Durkin from the Australian Financial Review. Good morning, Patrick. What does the end of this passport contract mean for Australia Post?
Well, it potentially is a big blow. I mean, it's a tough time for Aussie Post. People have stopped sending mail in record numbers. They're struggling to stay in the black financially, and with this contract up for renewal, there's a number of players who will be competing to provide these services, and if they were to be lost, it would be a major blow for Aussie Post.
What are some of the competitors? How do you think we will be getting our passports in the future?
Well, the backdrop to this is that the government's really pushing to try to move a lot of these services online and to make them digital. We're quite a way behind some other countries overseas, the UK, Sweden, other places, and in terms of the use of digital identification. Our Foreign Minister, Julie Bishop, has talked about using cloud passports for travel between Australia and New Zealand, and that's the idea that you wouldn't actually have a physical passport, but that when you go through a checkpoint, you might use biometric security, so a fingerprint or a face scan, and that would bring up similar sort of data that you would have in a physical passport.
So many things moving online. Last year, Australia Post announced its first loss in 30 years. Is that downward trend likely to continue, do you think?
Well, they're doing their best to innovate and bring in new technology, but certainly the decline in letters being sent will continue. We've had about a 30% drop in the number of letters being sent since the peak in 2008, and that is really becoming a drag on the business. So, 5 years ago, the business was making more than $300 million. Right now, they're struggling to stay in the black. So, the start of this year, they put the price of stamps up from 70 cents to $1 and introduced a two-speed mail system. So, it's now taking longer to get your mail at a higher price. So, people aren't particularly pleased about that.
Are they doing anything else to try to adapt to this 21st century world?
They are. I mean, they have their digital mailbox, which is, linking customers up to their banks and paying bills. They also say that they are best placed to provide things like these passport services in the future because they still have 4,500 shop fronts, and that they could bring in these sort of biometric technologies and digital identifications. And they've also talked about futuristic sort of ideas like having drones deliver our parcels in the future. So, they are saying that they are adapting, but certainly they have this big legacy business of letters, which is causing a real drag on the financial accounts.
Well, I don't know about you, but I don't think I've ever been into a post office that doesn't have a long queue, that I haven't had to wait in for ages. So people must be using them. Do you think they're going to remain relevant into the future?
Well, I think there is a group of people who still love going into the post office and sending a letter, but I think the way we'll interact will change. As I say, a lot of this talk is about having digital identification so that, instead of going into the post office with 100 points of identification, our birth certificate and, our driver's license, probably in the future we'll go in and you will provide a fingerprint, and hopefully you'll have your records, your Medicare records, your Centrelink records, a whole range of government services interlinked, and so when you change your address, that'll sweep through the system and you won't have to notify 5 or 6 different government agencies.
I think there are a lot of people sighing in relief at that. Patrick Durkin from the Australian Financial Review, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Jane. Happy Easter.
You too. Stevie?
Thank you, Jane. Still to come.